Far Cry 3's story is mostly agreed upon by the fanbase to be the best story of any Far Cry game. While the story may be carried a lot by Voss, and the second half of the story is considered not to be as interesting as the first half, something I really appreciated about Far Cry 3's story is it's one of the bolder stories you will ever see Ubisoft make. A lot of Ubisoft stories are pretty conservative. They don't want to stir up any controversy or cause any divides in the fan bases, especially these days, so the stories don't really take many risks and have any really bold takes on reality. But what makes Far Cry 3 so different is what they did with Jason Brody. In my Far Cry 3 review, I made it very clear that I didn't like Jason. I found him impulsive, arrogant, childish, and all of the above, but I can't deny that his story arc and his development is a really cool story, and Far Cry 3 I feel is one of the only games from Ubisoft that displays a huge internal struggle with the main character who starts to lose himself and be turned into a monster. And the other games like Far Cry 4 and 5 for example, you kill dozens of people without a second thought. I mean, the characters don't have any reaction to it whatsoever. You don't see any consequences to their actions and they don't feel human. And even though I don't like Jason and he's arrogant by design, he actually feels human. He's a rich playboy and a total douchebag and perfectly represents every stereotype of a rich kid. And yet when he's captured by Voss and has to fight and kill to save himself and his friends, he begins to transform and become a warrior. But in doing so, he loses himself and becomes so clouded and obsessed with revenge that he no longer even cares about saving his friends anymore. He just wants to kill anyone in his way to satisfy his bloodlust. You will rarely, if ever, see a complex and dark, morally gray protagonist like this from Ubisoft. I think this was personally one of the boldest and most fascinating character arcs ever made by Ubisoft, and I guarantee you will not see this from them today, as they prefer to play things a lot more safe when it comes to the characters. I mean, Jason is the only protagonist who you can actually see become affected after becoming a mass murderer in these games. And every time you pull the trigger or ram a knife through an enemy's spine, you are contributing to Jason's downward spiral and are pushing him further into the darkness. For once, a Far Cry game actually supports the narrative with its gameplay because every person you kill actually takes effect on Jason. Now, not directly, but the game really makes you feel like you are partly responsible for what happens to Jason. He may be aiming the gun, but you're still the one pulling the trigger. Citra is the perfect catalyst for Jason's turn to the dark side. She gives him strength, she makes him feel needed, she turns him into a warrior. It's almost in a way manipulation, except that she truly believes that Jason through violence and death can free the Rook Islands. And you soon realize that all this power and strength Citra gives Jason also takes something from him in return, and that's his humanity and sanity. And the deeper Jason goes, the more it makes him crave more bloodshed and strength, and he's completely unrecognizable when compared to the scared boy running from Voss in the jungle. Oh, Voss, if you only just shot this man when you had the chance, and you had so many opportunities too. It's truly embarrassing on your part.
Tell you the definition of insanity.
But Jason isn't fully gone yet. Just like how the game had you kill in Jason's name and had you, the player, force him down a dark path, the game gives you one last opportunity to set things right. After all Jason has done and all he's been through, you get to determine what path he goes down. Do you complete his transformation from arrogant, rich playboy to monster, or do you hold on and amplify that last shred of light remaining in Jason as he holds a knife to Liza's throat? For me, the decision was easy. But even though you stop Jason from going fully into the dark, after what's happened to him and all he's done, his life will never be the same. And the nightmares of Rook Islands will haunt him for the rest of his days. Because you can't slaughter hundreds of people and expect a happy ending with no consequence.
Back from this, I'm a monster. I can feel the anger inside me. But I am still somewhere inside me more than that.